The best benefit you have as a federal employee is your FEHB, your federal employee health benefits. But there's a couple of caveats that you need to know if you want to keep it into retirement, especially if you separated from service early. Hi, I'm Micah Shilanski, and welcome to this FERS Federal Fact Check. I'm really excited to be answering our question today about your best benefit, your FEHB. A question came in and says, hi, I've worked for 11 years as a federal employee until the age of 57. I'm now 62. Can I still get FEHB if I've not been enrolled in FEHB since 57? That is an excellent question. Now, there's a few things we don't know about this situation, so let's walk through what the rules are so we can really understand how FEHB works. Couple of requirements in order to keep FEHB. You as the federal employee have two requirements that you have to meet to keep FEHB, and your spouse, if you're married, has two requirements they have to meet if they want FEHB after you've passed away. So let's talk about the federal employee. Let's talk about you first. Well, number one, you must retire with the full and immediate pension. That's going to be the biggest requirement. So what are those rules? Well, number one, there's the MRA and 30. You got to be your minimum retirement age with at least 30 years of federal service. Or you could be age 60 and have 20 years of federal service. Or you could be age 60, whoops, dyslexia kicked in right there. Sorry about that. Not 26, 62, and have at least 5 years of creditable service. These are the first three tiers that you would have to meet to retire with an immediate unreduced pension. Now, there's another tier that you could meet, which is MRA and 10, or potentially if it's an involuntary retirement, right, which is like a separation of service or like a RIF, there's some other set of rules, but we'll stick with the voluntary retirement for right now. There's an MRA and 10, which you could do, which is if you're at least the minimum retirement age, so let's say it's 57, had at least 10 years of federal service, you are eligible for your benefits. Now, if you turn your benefits on at 57, then there's a penalty. And what is that penalty? That penalty is 5% for every year you're under the age, I did it again, under the age of 62. Right? Every year you're under the age of 62, they're going to impose a 5% penalty. Well, if I'm 57, that's 5 years between now and 62. 5 times 5 is 25. I could have a 25% permanent penalty in my retirement. That's a big number, right? But one of the things that you have is you have a postponed retirement. And that kind of sounds like what this gentleman has done. So I'm not sure, we don't have the facts in it, but basically here's what I heard is he had 11 years of federal service. So 11 years, which is great. And he retired at 57 years young. So that's the latest on the MRA side. So if I look at this and say, well, is at 57 but 11 years, that's an MRA and 10 retirement. So he can absolutely do that. So one, you got to retire with the eligibility of an immediate pension. Did he do that? Yes. MRA and 10, eligibility of immediate pension. Doesn't mean you have to turn it on, but it must have the eligibility of it. Requirement number two, you must be, as the federal employee, you must be enrolled in FEHB for 5 years prior to retirement. So this is the question. When you were 57, if I back that out 5 years, were you in FEHB for those full 5 years? If the answer is yes, you've met the two requirements to keep FEHB in retirement. Retire with the eligibility of immediate pension, and you've had it for 5 years prior to retirement. So at 62, you got to go to OPM. Say, hey, I'm 62. You can turn your pension on because it hasn't been on because now you're filing for a postponed retirement. They would also give you back your other benefits, potentially life insurance if you had it, and your FEHB if you met that 5-year criteria, which is fantastic. So you as the federal employee, those are the two benefits that you have. Your spouse as a spouse of a federal employee, if you want them to maintain life insurance when you pass away, they have two requirements they have to meet. Number one, they must be receiving a survivor pension. So out of your pension amount, you must have elected some type of survivor benefit. That's the first requirement. The second requirement is they must be in FEHB before you pass away. Well, what does that mean? They have to be enrolled in it before you are dead. So where I see this coming up at is you have two working spouses, husband's federal employee. Let's say the wife has an outside job, which is fantastic. And maybe up in Alaska, right? She works for an oil company. They have great health insurance at very low cost to the employee. So they're like, hey, I'll keep my FEHB as a federal employee, but as the spouse, I'm just going to keep my own insurance over here because it's less expensive. So I have my single plan for FEHB, and then the wife has a single plan, or maybe she has the family plan with the kids on it because it's more subsidized by the oil field. Okay, well, fantastic. But what happens if the federal employee dies? If he passes away, regardless of his years of service, he could have a 30-year full career right before retirement. But if he passes away and he hasn't elected a survivor benefit, so he retires, elects no survivor benefit, or he passes away in service and there would be a survivor benefit, but she hasn't been in FEHB, the family can't keep FEHB into retirement anymore because those are two requirements. They must be receiving a survivor pension and be in FEHB before the federal employee passes away. So you got to be careful of that one. Just make sure it's covered. These are great questions. If you have questions like this, then jump on our website, Plan Your Federal Retirement. Sign up for our podcast. It's ever growing, which is great. We have an amazing goal of helping more than 1 million federal employees retire, and that's not going to be possible without your help. So click the like button, share this content. Stay tuned for more questions, and until next time, happy planning.